Hello everybody, and welcome back to Animal Crossing New Leaf. Today, I really don't know what to yap about, like, at all, really. This one can go. From Penelope. I mean, I suppose I have a couple things I can kind of yap about. I think about it a little bit. To wannabe Steven, if you want to change your image, you should try my certified popularity growth plan. It's totally fail-proof. Simply pose all cool wearing this, and you'll be it for sure. Pop Princess Penelope. Alright. Oh, we got a noodle tea. So I'm advertising Penelope's noodle place. I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think in general, to be fair, but I don't think so. But, one of the things that I can kind of yap about is I've actually watched a bit of, Final Fantasy XIV's Evolved Combat, like what they showed off, and I honestly find it kind of funny because it's almost entirely things that I've made mention they should really do to improve the gameplay. It's also been rather amusing watching the community's reaction to the change. Hello, Pinky. Salutations. Pretty morning, right, Dumpling? What's up? Let's chat. Hey, I've been wondering what you've been doing with your place lately. Let's come check it out today. How about it? Sounds great. Let's go. That's so long from now. I mean, it's like 40 minutes. But like, a good portion of the community seems very upset at the idea of, like, the 1, 2, 3 combos being collapsed into a single button. It's like, why though? It's like, well, because they're describing Evolved Combat as easier and simplified. It's like, well, yeah, it technically is. But that's not to say pressing 1, 2, and 3 in a row is hard. It's just something you can mess up. This removes that chance. Like, if you simply can't mess up, then, you know, that goes away. That will be a net positive for everybody, because that means nobody can mess up their rotations. It's like, well, they're also making it stronger. It's like, well, yeah, you've got fewer tools. So the tools it does have are stronger. Like, your steaming sunny mornings just make me want to dance. What can I do for you? Chat. Sometimes it's good to get some exercise and play outside, right? Lately I've been really into hide and seek. To hide well or find hiders. Pretty awesome. Yeah, sure, we can play hide and seek. Alright. The 2 bears and Margie. This shouldn't be that difficult. I think I had 15 minutes. Yeah. I mean, well, there's Margie. Right at the start. Hey, how do you know where I was? You've got really sharp eyes. 2 hiders left. Good luck. I'm probably gonna need it. Because the one I'm kind of worried about finding is Paula, because she does kind of blend in with some things. She's got some extra camouflage. But like, there are so many people, and like you could even hear it in the audience, that are just not happy with the Evolved Combat. And I'm in the camp of, one, it's way too early to say for sure whether it's going to be good or bad. They've barely showed it off. As in, like, maybe you didn't, at least from what I watched of the keynote, you didn't actually get to see the jobs in content. You just got to see them bashing basically a training dummy, which doesn't tell you anything about how that's actually going to function. But like, it's very much the case where if it makes... Can I please dig where I'm trying to instead of bonking the tree? It's hard to tell where I am behind that tree. If it makes things more foolproof, that is just a net positive. Especially where, like, they have explicitly said, you know, both styles of gameplay will be able to do, at the very least, all existing content. Even with other changes they're making. Which honestly makes those other, the other things they're removing, altering, and that stuff seem extra redundant. Like, they're, as far as like evolved, you're hiding literally just behind your house. You found me! I can't resist peeking! Should be one person who's still hiding. You haven't won yet? You gotta find all of us for goo. Yeah, I mean, I've got 12 minutes though, so... I mean, like, it just kind of reminds me in a lot of ways of how, like, the Phantasy Star community is. Where, especially because, like, there has been a good chunk of people, including some of the people I've seen who are complaining about Evolved Combat, who have complained that there are too many buttons. You know, that's one of their big major complaints with 14, is that there's too many buttons. And I agree. There are too many buttons, and too many of them are single-use buttons. They're used at, like, one very specific instance, and then probably never again. Like, interject on, there's Pinky. Eek! Yuck, you found me, Dumpling. Oh, good for you. I guess I'll hide better next time, wah. I mean, you hide pretty good. I always knew Steven had good instincts. Even though he lost them, inspired by your skills as a seeker. We have a prize for the winner. Please accept a backyard lawn from us. I mean, I'm gonna sell it, but thank you. You better. Already talked to all three of them, technically. Like, interject on tanks. That is used in very, very specific instances where your DPS haven't already interrupted an enemy that needs to be interrupted. Because the DPS can do it easier than you can. So it's primarily their job, but if absolutely need be, you can do it. Yet it takes up a spot in your bar, because if you need to do it, and can't, somehow you're the problem. See your face? Well, it's just Sam ready to start a new day, 67. Need someone? One chat. Just a moment ago I ran into Pete and got to say hello. That fellow seems kinda careless, but he still does his job really well. Sure he doesn't mean that much. Sure it doesn't mean that much coming from me, but I think he's actually a pretty good guy. I mean, yeah, Pete tries. And really, that's all anyone can ask of anyone, is that they try. Barbara! Oh, Dumpling. Yes, you, Dumpling. I need to talk to you. Got a little pest in my house I want to get rid of. Oh, not roaches. Ew, no, never. It's my tea vase. I want to replace it. I put it on top of something else in my room. It's just sitting there. It's so blah. If you find anything I can put in this place there, I'd really appreciate it. I mean, I can keep an eye out. I have, like, nothing to put on tables at the moment, but I can definitely keep an eye out. Big spot. But yeah, like, I actually find it kind of funny. I encountered a video from a Phantasy Star creator who's actually like part of like the Sega partner program kind of thing. Barbara. Barbara, don't even think about it. We've already talked. Okay. Yeah, I definitely don't have the inventory for this, but I have found all the gyroids as well as all the fossils, so let's go get the fossils identified, sell the gyroids and fossils, and then come back and grab the ore. And this creator was like, man, I'm so done with this game because the community is making it insufferable, and it's like, yeah, the global community does that. I'm gonna be completely honest, yeah, the global community does that, and I've talked with people who play on global or moved from Japan to global and are primarily global players who are just simply insufferable. They will demand and ask for things from Sega, and then the moment Sega gives it to them, they complain. And it's the same people. Like, you know, someone that I used to play on Japan with who moved to global. One of his big complaints was, well, there's only 2 songs in the concert. And Sega recently addressed this. They've started adding little videos and stuff to the various TVs as extra events. Just little things that can go on, that are like concerts, but fundamentally different. It's kind of neat. I kind of like it. And a lot of these are songs, so they're functionally the same as a concert show, because you're still listening to a song. As you might guess, but it's not a new concert. It's like, but it may as well be. Like, but it's not. It's like, but it may as well be. You were given new things to have as part of, you know, the events, you know, the urgent quest triggers, basically. And now you're complaining about it. All that's telling Sega is that you didn't actually want this. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Especially to Sega, I imagine. Like, you know, Sega, who has been kind of constraining PSO2 with budget, but they recently gave them a decent budget increase. As in, like, I think it's like last year. And you can kind of tell just in the content released between, you know, this then and this year kind of thing. It's been a lot better. Like, they're doing a lot of the stuff the players want. I mean, even just the whole concept of New Genesis, big open world place, that is something players have been clamoring for since the release of PSO2. Like, this isn't something Sega dropped on us out of nowhere. So what's the current price? 89. Okay. I don't know yesterday's prices at all, because I forgot to check. I realized it after I'd already closed the game, and I'm just like, not gonna sell on Monday anyway. So it wouldn't matter what the price is. Which is true. It doesn't really matter what the price is, because I'm never selling on Monday. But then, like, Sega gave us this big open world. And right away, level cap was 20. It was a beta. Level cap was 20. So people started immediately clamoring for the level cap to increase. Extremely rare deluxe washer. Alright. I don't really need a deluxe washer, but they got one. So Sega started rapidly increasing the level after it came out of its beta. To the point where we're now at level 130, and we're not even in episode 3 yet. We should be level 75. For instance, King Dorcas, they do a little shopping. Fancy seeing you here as well. At least based on how the first game, the base game worked. But we're level 130. Gear's too easy to get. Okay, so they made it harder. Gear's too hard to get from the same people. Like, that's the kind of thing they're dealing with. And it's like, yeah, at least from global. I say that's the type of people they're dealing with, but the Japanese server, at least from what I can gather from my interactions over there, are happy with how things are going. Which is also something that seems to frustrate global players, because I've literally seen, well, Sega's just developing it for the Japanese audience. It's like, well, okay, one, the North American servers, well, not North American, the global servers. I'm good, small chat. Yeah, now this is what people are known to suck off the most on Tuesdays. It's true. If a seamstress is gonna make a mistake, you can bet your buttons it'll be on a Tuesday. Mother used to say that like it was going out, like it was bleh. Mother used to say that like it was some sort of ancient wisdom. I can get that right. Still nothing I want clothes-wise. But like, I keep saying North America. The global server has, I think, 6 ships total, so 6 servers to play on, with 2 more in permanent maintenance mode, as in they're there and ready if they need them. Global has 10, and we know that they have 6 more in permanent maintenance mode, just in case they need them. Japan also has, multiple times, had to pause people joining servers because they were over capacity. Global, I don't think, has ever had to do that, except maybe launch day. But even then, it launched via the Microsoft Store, so probably not even launch day. Coffee in the morning helps me get up and ready for push-ups. It does the opposite for me. Like, coffee is not something you want to drink during a workout, at least. It's not exactly the most hydrating of drinks. You kind of want water. But like, I've literally seen ships locked down. Like, you can't log into them since going back to Japan, which has been less than a month. Like, so yeah, Sega is going to prioritize the bigger player base. And that bigger player base is happy. So they're doing something right. That's what that tells me, at least. And I mean, I'm happy with how New Genesis is going. So there was a hair there. Okay. Is it perfect? Nah. Vic, you got fleas, man. Give me that flea. Whoa, gotta bug out. Just jumping all around, making me dizzy. Thanks for the help, 67. Not embarrassed, you had fleas. Just gonna exist there now? Okay. Do a Gulliver check. Like, it's... Honestly, if you liked base PSO2, the direction New Genesis is going is very akin to it. At least gameplay-wise. Like, people who are complaining about the super long grinds clearly never grinded out a Zeeg weapon. Because you'll not get much longer of a grind in just about any game than grinding out a full line of Zeeg weapons. Zeeg being the Ark's blacksmith. Well, you go to him, and you can see a whole list of the stuff he can make. Now, this list grew over time. But, let's just go with the Profound Darkness weapons. To get the materials to make these weapons, you had to run the urgent quest to fight the Profound Darkness. You would get 1 to 4 per run. Initially. This changed over time to 2 to 7. The very first stage, you need 50. This urgent quest used to be on a schedule, but it's not anymore. So now it's completely random. I don't think it was ever on a schedule for global. So I think it was always random for global. And you can run that quest once per time it pops. Once per it showing up. So, you can get 1 to 4 or 2 to 7 of this material that you need 50 of just for the first stage. Maybe once a day. The weapon itself has no chance of dropping. You must grind it out. And that's just the first stage. It has 2 more. And that first stage is basically on par damage-wise with the stuff you're already using. So, yeah, you're basically not even getting anything out of it until you can upgrade it to its second stage. Once you get it there, it is mildly better, which is, that's nice. It's nice and good. You actually get an improvement. That's, it's always pretty cool, pretty pog. But for that second stage, the first one you need 50. Now you need 150. As well as other materials. I forget what you need for the third stage, because even back during when this stuff was the best weapons, I stopped at the second stage. I just didn't bother carrying on, because we knew the next big update was coming. This was end of episode 3 grinding, basically. And we knew episode 4 was coming. So may as well just wait. Which, is also kind of a thing that I kind of have to poke a bit of fun at when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, is all the players who will obsess over they need to get the current best relic weapons. It's like, but why? You know there's a new expansion coming. I think it's literally next year. With that new expansion is going to come new gear. From probably just playing the quests, that will be on par or better than the relic weapon that you're grinding for and spending all this time working on, because it's simply going to be higher level. They're increasing the level cap. I understand it's content to grind, and that, there's, people who will, go on and on and on and on and on about how you need this gear to do the absolute hardest content. I can't say one way or another whether you actually do or not, or if it's just optimization. Because everything I've heard from people, it sounds like it's just optimization to do it faster. Which, makes sense when poking at damage calculators, because some do exist for 14. The difference between the, absolute strongest weapon and armor and just the last non-extreme, basically non-hard mode dungeon. The DPS is roughly 4,000 difference. This is going from 32,000 DPS to like 36,000. That's the difference. It's not much of an upgrade. Hey, listen, I stumbled across something interesting in my friend's town the other day. They totally had what was maybe the coolest log bench I'd ever seen. I know a town project that's super popular with tourists. It was a town project that was super popular with tourists, so maybe we could get one here too. I'm getting excited. I'll talk to Isabel about it too, so add it to your to-do list, okay, Mr. Mayor? I mean, I can. I've been wanting to put a bench somewhere. But, like, it's just one of those things where, like, from my experiences with other MMOs, I basically have learned if you are not on the final, at least supposed to be the final update, don't waste your time grinding out the most optimal gear. There's no point. You are just going to be replacing it with probably much easier to acquire stuff. Now, if you really want to do it, then by all means, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you, but I will sit back and call you silly, because you're being silly. Like, if it wasn't almost a certainty that you'd replace everything almost immediately, I might see it. And, I mean, maybe you won't, but that seems to be how just 14 itself has been developed. And that's also how PSO2 developed as well, which is also why even in New Genesis, like, I don't see the point and purpose in grinding out the absolute best gear to grind through missions as quickly as possible. Especially where, to get this absolute best gear, you're already playing the hardest content. You're already there, you're doing it. So, now you're doing it a bit faster, but you already have what you were after? Like, it just doesn't make sense. But, like, if that's what people want to do, then, again, power to them. I'm just gonna call them silly. But yeah, I am definitely looking forward to actually trying the evolved combat in 14, just because it does look better. Just from a pure gameplay perspective, not even like a power level perspective. It just seems better. Like, fewer buttons is always good. Quite honestly, in my opinion, when it comes to an MMO... Whoop, got Margie to talk with. Hey, Steven. The other folks calling you Bucko. I really like that name for you. Go ahead. If you really like it, then go ahead. But, like, you really shouldn't need to use more than basically 1 through 6 all the time, as well as left, right, and middle mouse. Those should really just be all the buttons you need. Maybe an alt, maybe like shift 1 through 6, and maybe, going PSO2, shift to gain access to an extra 3 things on your mouse buttons. But that should really be it. Once you start getting into requiring people to need like 15 to 20 actions most of the time, you've jumped the shark. You've gone to a ludicrous level. Because that's just too many buttons. Especially when most of those buttons functionally do the same thing. They trigger different animations, but if all they're doing is causing damage, why do you need that many different buttons? And this especially goes for 14, because, like, you know, there's basically two types of damaging attack. Single target, AoE. So single or area. They could really just put every attack into those camps. They could literally take the entire single target combo of a class, including the off global cooldowns and stuff like that, and just tie them all into the same button press, because, you know, the same button you're pressing over and over again, because that's functionally, it's all the same damage. It's all single target. Like, there is functionally no difference between any of it. Yet currently, there's, again, like 20-some buttons per class. Some have more, some have a little less. But they all have so many buttons that all functionally do the same thing. Like, healers. My Astrologian has... Let's see, it has its tarot cards, which has 2 flavors of healing. I think it's 2 anyway. Yeah, because they're... is it 2? Technically, yeah, because there's one that's a shield and one that's a regen. So yeah, there's 2 flavors of healing on that. So basically 2 buttons of healing from the tarot cards. Then there's a small heal that you basically never touch. A big heal, that is the one you actually use. A single target regen. A weaker party-wide regen. That's, what, 6 buttons for healing already? And then we start getting into the off-global cooldown heals. There's one that gets bigger and better the lower health your target has when you're healing them. I know there's more. I'm just I never use more than that, so I can't really think of the others. Which is a prime example of things that really don't need to exist. Like, the small and big heal could be the same button with just an averaged potency between them. Maybe leaning closer to the big heal side of things, or maybe hell, just make it the big heal. Because once you have the bigger heal, there is zero purpose in the smaller heal. Other than it's generally a little cheaper MP-wise. But if you're running out of MP, something's gone horribly wrong. Or you're DPSing too much. Hey, your others are calling you some new nickname. They're calling you Bucko. Hi, Vic. Vic, I hate you. Why is that catchphrase, oh, that nickname, catching on so much? Ah. But, like, healers DPSing is another instance of people optimizing things too much. Like, if even in the hardest content, it has been optimized apparently to such a degree that you literally do not need healers at all. You can just replace them with more DPS. Then maybe, just maybe, the best gear is not actually a requirement. Like, it very much sounds like the people, you know, the problem is people are wearing the absolute best gear. I'll just let it go. Like, maybe if they weren't, healers would have more to do. Just a thought. but that feels like something that 14 players aren't ready to hear. Like, it does feel like, and again though, that's a case of the community being kind of the worst part of a game. And again, like, PSO2 is no different. The community is kind of the worst part of that. Like, you get the same thing from 14. The community is kind of just the worst part about the game. Which, you know, kind of sucks to say, because it's an MMO. Community should be something that it excels at, because it's a massively multiplayer online game. But, yeah, no, they almost all succumb to just bad communities. And the bigger the game, the worse the community is. Like, a really small game will probably have an actual, like, really cool, probably, you know, rather adorable even community. But that's a small game. You know, that's an MMO where probably everybody who's actively playing the game knows everybody else. People who are rude or, you know, unruly or just simply don't like things and thus are a drag to be around, those people tend to get, well, more or less just shunned and they leave, because nobody wants to be around people like that. But when you have a much bigger community, it won't just be one guy. It'll be like 200 guys all hating on something. And you can't really shun them out of the community. It doesn't work that way. There's too many of them. And then because, you know, maybe one or two of them will be a big content creator, then they'll start getting more people on board with their hating of things. And it'll grow and grow and fester and grow, and it's just the worst. Like, it's one of the reasons why I continue to avoid ever playing World of Warcraft. I'm sure it's not a bad game. It's probably not as great as its player count indicates. Neither's Final Fantasy XIV, but at least I can play that for free up to a fairly decent point, and soon further. I think literally the day this video goes out, the day this video goes out, I'll be able to play the next expansion. Which also means I probably won't be able to play it that day, though I might be able to. But like, it's, you know, I know that community is not going to be a good community. And like, World of Warships is one of my prime examples of a game that I loved until the community ruined. And it was basically newcomers coming into the community that ruined it. Like, and bitter old veterans being bitter old veterans. It's what they do. But, you know, they definitely didn't help things. Have I already had my coffee today? Yes, I did, because I talked to Costello in there. Yeah. Jeez. But, like, yeah. I love how this just got on talking about, like, MMO communities. I don't want to say, like, everyone in those communities is bad, because they're not. Like, I know multiple Final Fantasy XIV players who are really nice people. I know Phantasy Star Online 2 players who are really nice people, though predominantly those ones are on the Japanese server. But, like, I also know a lot of 14 players who are just jerks and asses, and, you know, if you don't do things the exact way they want you to do it, you're doing it wrong, you're bad, you should feel bad. Like, if Square doesn't do exactly what they want, then Square's being incompetent and bad, and it's like, there's a fine line between the criticisms that, like, I give of a game, which stays focused entirely on the game, and is usually accompanied by, here's how you could do it better, unless I simply don't know how to make it better without completely reworking the game. Like, I don't know how you make global cooldowns in 14 better without completely changing the game. You know, I don't know how exactly you add MP costs to things to make things actually feel like you're, you know, doing stuff without completely changing the game. MP costs would be easier, but even then, like, there's so much you'd have to change. Namely down to MP recovery. You'd have to give everybody ways to recover MP. While not breaking Black Mage in the process. Because the Black Mage combo is basically run yourself out of MP as fast as possible. Like, you literally, throughout your combo, like, you use, you know, some chain of skills, and then you end on basically a Mega Flare that consumes all of your MP, and you can theoretically use it again as long as you have MP, but it uses all of it, so you carry a MP restoring item, so you can cast it twice, and then you use an ice spell to get all your MP back, and then you go through the fire combo again, Mega Flare twice, and then, like, that's just what you do. Like, that is just the Black Mage combo. So if you give them other, better ways to recover MP, they would just never touch their ice magic again. So you could just make it on a class-by-class basis, but again, that is changing everything to solve a problem that only really I have. That's not worth it. Yeah, it is something I'm going to criticize because it doesn't really feel like Final Fantasy, but I'm not criticizing it to tell people they shouldn't play it. You know, I'm not criticizing it to say the devs are bad or incompetent. I'm offering feedback. Something that, you know, I'd be grateful to receive about anything I make. If you guys have feedback on my videos, tell me. I'm glad to hear it. Even if we disagree, I'm still open to hearing viewpoints about how things could be better. It's just when it comes to videos, it's always a case of understand I am very lazy. So I'm gonna do things in a very lazy way. It's why, like, I'll address when people will be like, man, you barely ever even talk about Animal Crossing. It's like, yeah, you find something to talk about in this game for over 2 years every day. I feel I do a pretty good job still paying attention to the game by reading dialogue, and if an animal mentions something, I can transition off into something to talk about. I tend to do that. Like, I do try to focus on the game. Also, yes, I'm just waiting until noon. That's why we're sitting here. So I want to check the afternoon turnip prices, and I may as well do it on video. Which means I could have actually had Pinky over, but I didn't think I'd still be yapping 40 minutes later. But, like, these people just shout something's bad and don't even try to offer any sort of constructive feedback. But, I mean, that's also something that people just struggle with in general, is giving constructive criticism. Like, it's one thing to go, grr, that's bad. It's another thing to go, grr, that's bad. But it doesn't need to be. Here's how you could fix it. You know, like, Paladin doesn't really feel like a Paladin, so how could you fix it? Well, he could really use more, like, magic earlier. That would help. You could shuffle Clemency earlier into his tree. You know. 85. Okay. Do I have anything on me to sell? I don't. So that's basically the same price it just was. I think, what, 84, 85? I mean, alright. But Like, that would be right there, just a gameplay-wise, gameplay feel-wise, that would make him feel better. 1, 2, 3 combos are dumb. They should be the same button. And guess what? Square's doing that. They themselves realize this. Like, and it's not a change that's going to actively change much of anything, except technically you'll be able to press the buttons a little faster because it's just the same button. You don't even need to think about where your fingers are. They'll just already be on the right button. And, you know, again, like, that's clearly something they agree is a good change. But yeah, I'm gonna stop yapping about stuff. I'm also gonna get the camera back like this so music stays up. That's gonna be it for this one. I have yapped for a very long time today. Thank you all very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here tomorrow for more Animal Crossing New Leaf, where I will try not to yap this long. Or maybe I will try to yap longer. I don't know. You can't stop me. You might want to, but you can't. See you all then.